So guys, 8.6 also brings penetration nerfs both for the APCR and the heat ammo. We can see the gun stats for all the tier 10 heavy tanks on the top for the old 8.5 and for 8.6 on the bottom for the new. We can see that the IS-7 has lost 10mm of penetration on its AP ammo, but its APCR remains unchanged. The IS-4 and the WZ-120 / the 113 have lost a hell of a lot of penetration on their heat ammo, just like the T57 and the T110 have. The now standard for both the IS-4, the 113, the T57 and the T110 have all been nerfed down to 340 penetration with their heat rounds. That's still a hell of a lot of penetration to have, but maybe it'll cut down some of the miracle pens that the tanks can pull off against very angled and highly armoured turrets, for example on the IS-7 cheeks of the turret, for God's sake. You shouldn't be able to pen those with heat rounds. So there's also been a nerf to the APCR rounds, as you can see on the AMX 5120 and on the FV215B. And all the tanks apart from the German heavies have had their AP ammo nerfed by between 8 to 11mm. I think it's sensible of them not to nerf the mouse in the E100, so this makes them a little bit more competitive. And combine this with all the other changes that they're bringing in to the way the armor works, I think this is going to be a very interesting patch for the E100 and the mouse. Super heavy tank drivers, it's your lucky day. In 8.6, Wargaming have introduced a new item, an equipment to be precise, the super heavy spool liner. It weighs 1.5 tons, and it can only be put on tanks which are, I think, 70 tons plus, but it provides 30% armor protection from ramming and explosions. So, although this adds just over 1% to the weight of an E100 Jagdpanzer, which will slow it down a little bit, this provides a huge amount of cover now from artillery splashes. Let's take a look at some gameplay showing you how my E100 performs when it was getting hit by artillery. So here we go, I'm playing in the E100 Jagdpanzer, and I'm using a super heavy spool liner, adding 30% to protection from ramming and high explosive shells. You can see this was pretty much a dream situation to be getting in the E100 Jagdpanzer on the Pearl River map, which was introduced in 8.5. Unfortunately, I forgot to improve my crew in the garage, and so I'm playing with a 75% crew. And we can see there are 3 very fat German tanks all trying to take the same location. So we can see so many very high penetrating shells, probably premium rounds, bouncing off the superstructure of this tank. And unfortunately, as I mentioned, it takes a long time to reload this gun when you've only got 75% loaded. Goodbye health, T57 heavy. Listen to the sounds the new shells make when they're bouncing off this tank. So there we go. That E100, GWE 100, just shot the E100 Jagdpanzer next to me. And we still took 600, just over 600 damage from the splash. That was a pretty brutal bounce off the mouse turret there with our heat rounds. You want to wait to engage a mouse while he just turns his turret towards you. Fortunately, the 75% gunner donks the shot to the outside of the reticule. Here we can see just the power of the armor of this tank. And remember, the heavy spool liner would not protect you from AP shells, but if they're firing low caliber HE ammo at me, then it might protect me from low caliber HE rounds. Here we can see an opportunity, lower plate. That's a bingo. So we can see that the position that we're in is giving us just enough cover from the artillery by the looks of it. Either that or we're just getting very lucky. Listen to the lovely new ricochet sound effects. I do like it. That one went in though. 688 health. And the HE shell splashes near us, taking both our tracks off, but only doing 50 damage to us. Wow. Maybe that was the heavy spall liner that aided that. I definitely recommend that there's more testing to be done with splash damage and protection from the heavy spall liner. But it looks like that HE shell, the splash damage from the GWE, took both my tracks off but only did 50 damage to the tank. Here we can see just the kind of example that if you can hide your lower plate with the 100 Jagdpanzer that you can bounce all day. If I'd had 100% crew, I would have been able to do a hell of a lot more damage this game, and maybe my team might have been able to win. But soon it will be our time! Soon it will be our time! I decide to finish off that mouse. Night angle. But the enemy are closing in and the mouse finally managed to make a shot on us. Uh-oh. 75% driver cannot turn the tank. And we get destroyed. Now I won't show you the after game stats, but I will tell you that we got over 15,000 potential damage received in that game, as well as doing I think 5 or 6k damage. But anyway, this was not a perfect test, but maybe this gives you a slight idea that a super heavy spall liner can help protect you from artillery splashes. Now one thing that's quite confusing about the patch at the moment is, listen to this. It says bounce off, but that was yellow damage. That takes the track off, but it says ricochet? Bounce off? But I'm keeping him tracked. So I got him tracked, and now I'm going to shoot him in the hull to do damage to him. And take him out. Bizarre, hey? That's a little bug. Maybe it'll be fixed. But if you're doing track damage, it shouldn't be saying bounce off and ricochet. One thing that's very interesting about that tracking shot that you guys just saw me do is that it resulted in some very tasty experience and also what they now call assist damage, as you can see in this screenshot. So here are the post-game stats for that Excelsior game on Steps. And check it out. In that short time that we engaged that TOG, we managed to get 1,065 assist damage. So assist damage is now either spotting or shooting the track. And wow, that enabled us to get 1,342 experience in a very quick and rather low damaging game. We didn't really do much apart from engage that TOG and really track him. Fair enough, we killed the SU-100Y, but I think that, guys, is something to look out for, that tracking targets is now very valuable. If you can't penetrate a tank, then why not just track them and get lots of experience and credits that way?
Let's get this show on the road.
So here we go, guys. You're looking at a new game mode on Mines. We're playing Encounter, and I'm not sure if you guys remember, any of you watching my live stream, we were talking about where the Encounter cap would be on Mines. And I thought that it might be on top of the hill, but we can clearly see now that it's not. It's in the Eastern Village. And I think that is a fantastic place to put the cap zone for an encounter on Mines. I will say, guys, that it creates 3 choke points. One here. One here, over here, down the 1 line. So we've got one down the 8 line, one down the 1 line, and one down the 5 line, like you see. So basically, the enemy team is deciding to rush the hill. We've set up an equal number of cap in the east, and we've used our medium tanks to take advantage of the western positions. I think that this is going to be a horrible game mode for the artillery if your team does not protect the west flank. What do you guys think about if your team doesn't protect the west flank? Where do you go in artillery? Where do you hide, really? Maybe you hide up here in A5 and A6, but... or maybe your artillery... I think the southern artillery have got it a lot easier hiding around the K8 and 9, but you know you can spot artillery fairly easy there with high view range tanks from F6, so expect this map to be absolutely chaotic, action right from the get-go, I should think, on Mines Encounter. I'm very, very, very excited for this map. I can't wait for it. And really, these game modes are adding a hell of a lot of variety.
Let's go.
So here we go, guys. We're looking at a new game mode, the Encounter on Redshire. And many of you will hate the map Redshire. Well, maybe you're going to like the new Encounter game mode. So, it's very interesting placed in the starting location for one of the teams. As you can see, over at the H8 area is where the cap zone is. This means that this prominent ridgeline is not so easily accessed by the team that usually spawns on the north for the game mode. Basically, this ridgeline becomes a fight. It's right in the middle of the two spawns, and both teams have got, in my opinion, equal opportunities to flank round to be able to engage at H8. I personally would like to see the regular game mode of Redshire removed and just the Encounter left in. I feel like they originally designed this map for spawns such as this, because if you think about it, the symmetry of the map is sort of going down between the northwest and the southeast. So it doesn't really make sense that the standard game mode has its bases in the south, east and the northwest. I think the Encounter is going to be much more balanced. So I'm playing my E100 Jagdpanzer on the test server just for some lols, firing those heat rounds like a total boss. Here we can see basically where I think that some of the good positions are going to be. You can see quite clearly the enemy team are going to rush across. That allows you to get some sneaky shots, very punishing shots on the enemy, if they don't go far south. So, in my opinion, I think that the team that still spawns at the northeast will have a slight advantage, because I feel that the hill at F90 is going to be quite advantageous to be able to shoot down onto the cap. But equally, the team that spawns in the southwest are going to have that village to be able to mask their approach. And there's also a very nice ridgeline at J6, K7 area, which they can use to advance. So I see this map as sort of a three-stage fight. One is the fight for the hill that you see me doing now. Two, teams will congregate on the ridgeline at F9 and also at K7 and shoot it out with each other over the cap zone. And I also see there to be an opportunity to flank along the north to try and get access to surround the enemy or take out the enemy's artillery. But very conveniently, there is a town at C1 and 2 that will turn into a little fight zone up there. All in all, I think this is a perfect map to have an encounter on. I think the base positions are brilliant, and I think that this encounter on this map is going to be so much more fun than the standard game mode. So guys, I hope you've liked my 8.6 review / preview. I'm going to quickly conclude with highlighting all of the key features. Moravanka, Wide Park and Airfield have been remapped. There are some changes to them. I suggest that you guys go and investigate them for yourselves. I didn't find too many differences with the maps, but there are small changes and they will be probably coming up in my map review series when I get round to doing the maps. There are penetration changes. There are heat nerfs to quite a few of the guns, especially the 105mm guns on the tier 5 tanks. Some serious nerfs to those, which were completely needed. There are also increases in price for most of the heat rounds, so you're going to have to be more careful with them. There's an overall buff to armor through nerfing the normalization that AP ammo has. They're reducing it from 5% normalization to 2%, which basically means that it will be all in all harder to penetrate angled surfaces. They're introducing the super heavy spool-liner, which will provide really heavy tanks with 30% more protection from explosions and also from ramming. They're reducing the effect that camo has on really large tanks. So really large tanks such as the E100 Jagdpanzer will benefit from, say, a camo net far less. Also, they're nerfing the camo that you get from behind bushes. There's a new tier 5 British premium heavy tank, the Excelsior. Also, there are hints there's going to be a new premium German tank destroyer, the E25, and a Chinese premium tier 8 heavy tank, the 112, which I am personally quite interested in seeing how it pans out. Neither of those two tanks are available on the regular test server. they must be available to super testers. TDs are making 30% increased experience, and SPGs are making 50% more. There's also increased credit income for all of the high tier tanks, which should make the game more sustainable for you. By removing the tracks of a tank, you basically get like the equivalent of spotting, what they're calling now assist damage. So there's bonus to EXP, especially for SPGs. They've changed the sounds, and importantly, they've changed the way the sniper bump works. The movement compensation, I call it. The reticule follows the aim, even when you're in sniper mode. And although this is not historical, it does make it feel more friendly / comfortable while you're in the sniper mode. So I think spending the whole of the game in sniper mode is going to become an option for some people. Guys, if you've appreciated all the work I've done to get you the information that you need so you don't have to waste your time on the test server, please rate my videos. I'd really appreciate it, and it helps me out immensely. And tell me in the comments below if you liked what I've done, if you disliked what I've done. Do you want me to do more of these kind of videos? Do you not? What do you think about 8.6? What do you think about the artillery? What do you think about the new British premium heavy tank? What do you think about everything about 8.6? Let's have a big old discussion. As always, guys, you mean the world to me. Thanks a lot for your support. You've been epic, and hopefully I'll see you soon.